All right, welcome back, YouTube. I wanted to point out some unique opportunities that we have here. I know in my last video I was saying that it necessarily it was more so fear driving the market. I still believe that to be true. But as far as for price action, we're looking at some unique opportunities here, and this is whether or not we get the ETF. I do believe ultimately it will happen. I explained that in the community section. But we're looking at certain assets, especially right here with Doge. This is a very great opportunity here because it looks like we're consolidating right around the 72 day. And this is pretty much almost like a correlation of the best price over the last, or the average of the best price over the last 72 days. So this is really a great indicator because the next best opportunity here is to kind of catch up the current 200 day, which would be down here, which is it's probably unlikely we'll go that far. I'm sure we'll have some news on the ETF, whether yay or nay by then. And even before if we had that vacuum, because they said we're going to push it out, and a lot of the initial positioning starts to come out of the market, we'd be able to see this coming because we have a cross here of like the 14 and the 72. So that's the next big indicator that we'll have here. But ultimately, what we have here is that push coming out of the fear in the market saying that, okay, well, it may not happen. And I kind of went over this in my last video, and this kind of will lead investors to believe that perhaps they jumped the gun and they got in a little early, and they'll start to either reposition themselves and just kind of wait until the market kind of turns, until the macro agrees, which has to do with Powell and the cuts, or they'll just stop buying and we'll see a consolidation and have a sideways movement. With Dogecoin, that's to be determined. Right now, we're kind of consolidating right around the 72. With Bitcoin, it's more apparent because when you have that uncertainty as far as what's going to happen, you'll either have a dramatic sell-off, which is somewhat they did. They kind of regained it. They dropped about $3,000 the other day, but then they regained some of the momentum and still kind of trending along the 14-day. But if you have that uncertainty, if a catalyst changes very rapidly, you'll either see that panic come into the market, you'll see a big sell-off, or you'll see a consolidation. They'll say, okay, well, we're not going to sell because we still believe this is going to happen. We still believe in the asset, but we're not going to buy anymore either. And that's kind of where you see that kind of that sideways movement there until the trend gets weak, and then you'll have to go to the next level of like liquidity. But that's a little far out. So, but as of right now, you can see it a little bit more apparent in Bitcoin here. You have this sideways movement. Yesterday, almost no movement at all, at least on the closing price. It's movement overall, but closing price, very minimal. It did close down a little bit, but not a big movement on the day-to-day. For Ethereum, and for Bitcoin, I do believe ultimately for where Bitcoin is going, this is going to be a great price. But for Doge, it's certainly a great buy at the 72. The Ethereum, we were talking about being able to close here at the 72, which it didn't. Investors came in and pushed it back up. So somewhere kind of hovering closer to the 14 days, similar to what Bitcoin is doing. So we have a little curve here in the 14, still a long way from getting across to the 72. So not necessarily super fearful of a major breakdown just yet. You'll just kind of consolidate in this range here until we get the yay or nay. I believe we'll see very minimal movement here over the next few days until we get an idea of what's going to happen with the ETF, and that kind of determine how much liquidity is going to come into the market. So that's why we see very minimal movements over the last 24, 48 hours, very little liquidity flowing into the market. Going back to this, let's take shorts here because they were getting out. Shorts are up. Oh, wow. Shorts are the highest that they've been since November 9th. So we've had some big spikes here recently. So I guess they're trying to get it down below the 8-cent mark. So we'll keep an eye on this and see. Shorts are above the 72 and the 14. It'll certainly be a significant move if we get above the 200 within the next couple of days. That'll require a more than 300% jump, but we've seen higher jumps in days before. But shorts are definitely on the rise, so we'll certainly keep an eye on that. And again, when you're shorting, they take advantage of uncertainty in the market, right? So it's not necessarily the end of the world, because if they come out and say, oh yeah, everything is all great, ETF is going to be approved, and liquidity starts flowing into the market, you'll see something like this red candle here. They'll get out of there very quickly. But right now, they're just anticipating that if there's uncertainty in the market, they can kind of capitalize off of it, or at least position themselves to capitalize off of it if there's a delay or a denial. So not the end of the world here. That's typical short positioning there. But ultimately, yeah, price action wise, right at the 72 is going to be great. It looks like right now we're bouncing somewhere between the 72 and the 14. Literally, the 14 is kind of turning into like a top here, and we've been bouncing off of it. Most of the candles that went above it have been rejected, and what really, if you look at the 14 and 72, where we're consolidating at, is we're consolidating in the 382 zone, the Fibonacci here. So you'll see us, we have about 3 touches down here, a little shoot, but ultimately this has been the zone. So this is what we were talking about as far as we're consolidating, breaking into this zone, trending sideways and creating that floor. And we saw the big pushes and these huge wicks and stuff like that. They did not want that to consolidate at around 10 cents. So it looks like we're going to consolidate somewhere between 8 and around 9.50. That's going to be the range for right now. And we'll see as far as what the catalyst and the macros and at what point that's going to come into alignment. But as of right now, if you are long-term, if you're not necessarily counting or trying to swing trade the news of the ETF, this would, where they're positioned right now, this would be that relief, that that break where you're looking to say, okay, well, I don't want to necessarily buy the green candles, but I want to get like the best deal for what's going on. We're approaching that time frame. If this isn't the best, we're certainly approaching that area where you'll be able to get the best deal for what's going on right now. So that's my price update. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.